Hi guys, good morning. Thank you for joining. I have a special segment. A lot of us are wondering, we're hearing different things, different messages about selling, not to sell, or should we be selling, how to do it. So I actually got together with a few of the experts right here, Ari, Matthew, and Eleanor. These guys are sales and marketing experts and business experts, as Eleanor is. And we've had individual discussions around this. Individually, these guys have discussions about around the same topic on the platform. So I thought it was great to do a segment because a lot of us are in confusion state. I think should be selling. So I'm going to open up the floor to these guys. These guys are the experts in sales and marketing. To let's have a discussion about why should we keep selling, how to do it, and what probably would be the best way during this whole COVID-19 crisis that all of us are going through together. So I'll open up to you guys. Whoever wants to go first can jump in and start the conversation.
Sounds good.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So with COVID-19, a lot of people are asking the question, should we be selling now? And my take on it is an absolute resounding yes. One of the most common things that you'll find in sales is that over the years, there are new methods that come out, new things that people are trying out, and it's constantly evolving. Always Be Closing from Glengarry Glen Ross applied really well back then, but now it's not as applicable. And with COVID-19, some of the statistics that have come out by the government is that this is not going away for the next 18 to 24 months. Businesses can't afford to simply shut down for the next 2 years while this disease goes away and is dealt with. The question is, how are we going to be approaching prospects? How are we going to be doing our meetings and our conversations, and how is it going to change now that this is a question within the marketplace?
I have to agree. I mean, if you think about small businesses and small and mid-sized businesses, which are truly the engine of the economy in this country and around the world, unless you as an entrepreneur or business owner are sitting on a massive cash reserve, like I'm talking about an 18 to 24 month cash reserve that you are fully comfortable blowing through, it is a philosophical question versus a practical one. The practical reality is that entrepreneurs and CEOs of small to mid-sized companies absolutely need to keep an eye on the fundamentals, including cash flow. And to Ari's point, it's really about exploring what are the best ways to do this, what are the right offers to be making to the marketplace, and how are you, what is the right way to be sort of building your pipeline, engaging with customers and prospects, and moving them through the sales process for their benefit, and also for yours.
Matt, you have anything to add there?
So I think, look, at the end of the day, money must flow. Okay. Otherwise, there's no liquidity in the market and then we're all screwed. So yes, I think we all have to keep selling. However, I think, I want to also say that it depends. All right. And what I mean by that is there are really you can categorize businesses right now into 3 different zones. Like there's the red zone, there's the yellow zone, and then there's the green zone. And some of these businesses in the red zone literally are locked up and can't do any business. Example, like a restaurant or something like that. I mean, of course, there's things they could do. Hey, there's all these brilliant ideas. Jump on YouTube, do a cooking show, sell your recipes. But honestly, they're still kind of locked up. So you can be helpful to them, but selling to them right now, if that's your bucket, that may not be the best thing to do right now. Now, that being said, what I find that's really amazing is because of this crisis and this chaos and businesses getting locked up, it's forcing companies to approach sales in the way that they really are supposed to approach sales from the very beginning, which is empathy, building goodwill and community, and being freaking helpful, right? So it's like, hey, you know what? This is not something new. Everyone's like, oh, you got to change the way you sell. It's like, no. That's the way you always need to sell at the end of the day, right? So first you have to really figure out who do you sell to, and are they in the red zone, yellow zone, green zone? Are they going to go from red to yellow or red to green? Are they going to go from yellow to green? Is green going to go from green to yellow? Because even businesses that are super thriving right now, like let's say you sold to manufacturers that happen to make hospital equipment that people need right now, like face masks and hospital beds. Do you really think you can sell to them right now? They don't care what you have to sell right now. They're so busy that they're not going to care. So we might have to think of a different things of like, we really have to figure out where do you exist on answering that question of whether do you sell right now. But universally, do I agree that you should be selling and making money flow? Yes, because it's not just important for you and your company to sell. It's important for the entire world's economy that money must flow right now. So that's kind of my take on it.
You know what? That's interesting. I never, what you said, I never thought it like that. It depends on who you sell, because I don't sell to restaurants, right? So
Right.
I didn't even click to me until you just pointed out red, yellow. I guess it's the green zone. I never thought of it in that sense. Yeah, like restaurants, like how are you supposed to sell to restaurants right now, depending on where they are. I know a lot of restaurants are moving to delivery. Like I know somebody that one of my brother-in-law's friends owns Turtle Jets. They actually reopened as of beginning of April, but just takeouts and delivery, where before they shut down. So I never thought of that. That's actually a good perspective because, yeah, if you're selling to someone that has to shut down, because more businesses are shutting down, as of yesterday, Doug Ford, at least in Ontario, I can't speak on other provinces, but at least in Ontario, there's a revised list of what's considered essential, and more businesses are forced to shut down. And yeah, you have to pivot. So how would you go about, what would be the best way to right now for someone to, pivot their sales method? But as Matthew said, like it's always been about empathy, and you're supposed to go through sales process with empathy. But how can you do that now if you've never done it before? So I'll just open up to all of you guys, and I'll start with Ari.
So if you've never sold with empathy before, the one question that you should ask yourself is, instead of what do I need, it's what do they need? What is it that they can have help with? What are their main struggles that they're having right now? I've seen some pre-call prep discussion and some cold call discussion, and a lot of newer reps will say, well, you know what, the purpose of the first call is just to get to the next call. And when you're going into a call with that mindset, it's automatically going off on the wrong foot, because it's all about me, 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 me. And changing that perspective of thinking it's you, 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 you is what's really going to help people. Take the script that you have in front of you and just throw it in the trash. If you have a list of questions that you have that you're thinking of asking prospects, and you have it and you're just going down that list, take it and throw it in the trash. Because now more than ever, you need to listen, understand, and respond intellectually and empathetically. And you only do that through thinking of them and not yourself.
Okay. Eleanor?
It's a great question, and I think it comes down to sales and the selling process as a practice. So one of the things that we're seeing, and we are certainly seeing this inside our business, but also seeing it in the businesses of the customers and clients that we serve, is that people are still buying, but overall conversion rates are going down for various reasons. People maybe are delaying purchases. Potentially, people are just kind of taking a wait and see approach, which is very normal. So if, as an entrepreneur or sales professional, I think one of the things you want to, as you're looking to start pivoting your approach, as we practice empathy, understanding where people are at. And so what that means is that your typical, if you may have measured the performance of how your sales process is working 3 months ago on a certain benchmark or a certain set of conversion criteria, really understanding and holding space that conversion rate you need to give it space to potentially be lower over the course of the next 30, 60, 90 days, and potentially beyond. The benefit of this, to Matthew's point earlier, is that it's actually bringing out a lot of excellence in terms of overall sales processes. So if you know that if you're planning on the fact that your conversion rates could potentially be lower, then focus on other aspects of sales process as a practice. Can I be excellent right now in terms of, to Ari's point, really practicing connecting and listening? Can I really practice excellence in terms of listening with prospects to really understand where they are, what their objections are right now, and therefore what actually might be a more practical and effective thing to offer them in the near future. So that's where I think a lot of entrepreneurs, and it's hard, as business owners, because we want the lag indicator, which is the closed sale. But I think if you, part of pivoting is really putting back into the practice of sales, seeing it as a practice, and focusing on good sales practice, meaning excellence in the earlier parts of the sales process where you are really engaging and connecting. Because what we're seeing is, even if sales conversion is potentially going down, we are still seeing that people want to connect. They still want to have conversations. Now, of course, to Matthew's point, that may change depending if you are selling into a red zone or an orange zone. But, if you are, we are still seeing that people are wanting to connect, to engage in the sales process, even if they don't necessarily want to buy just yet.
Okay. Nat, what do you think? What would be the best way to approach sales right now? How would you sell?
So, well, I think anytime there's a crisis and things like this that happen, I know everyone's in a rush to keep the lights on or to make sales. But probably one of the most important things to do is actually to pause for a minute, to actually just pause, take a deep breath. If you're a sales organization that actually has like a sales quota and a sales board, I'd recommend the first thing you do is you get rid of it. Just throw it away. Okay, that's step one. Step two, I think you have to gather your team internally and address your own team's emotional clarity first about what's going on, because you and your team is not going to be very helpful to other people and be able to sell if there isn't clarity internal wise. So if they're not worried about their jobs and where they're going and what their quota needs to be and how they're going to get paid, then they can't really help other people. It's just like being on an airplane. If it's going down, right? not to take a punch at the airlines right now, but if it's going down, you got to put your own mask on first, right? And then you put it on your children and others. So the first step is really getting internally everything right first. And so once you first address everybody's emotional feelings internally, and you get pointed to true north of what success is going to look like right now, but not only right now, your organization needs to be able to be like Wayne Gretzky's father. So I don't know if anyone's ever a hockey fan, but Wayne Gretzky was not really one of the world's best hockey players ever. He actually was not a great ice skater. He was not terribly big. He was not a great shot. But what his father taught him at a young age was like, hey, Wayne, if you want to be a great hockey great hockey player, you're going to need to figure out where the puck is going, not where it is. So your organization not only needs to deal with like, where are we now, but you also need to figure out, well, what happens, with this health crisis if it extends, or what happens when it ends, and then what's going to happen, and then what's going to happen. And you need to set the tone internally about what that looks like, as well as how will we help our clients and be ahead of where they even need to go right now, because our clients and customers and potential customers are panicking and in fear right now. And they need someone calm to come in and assist them and be the calm voice, right? To be able to guide them through this storm and into where it's going. And if you can be that person, then already you've kind of started off on the right foot. And again, I hate to repeat, this is really what sales is. Like, this is normal sales. This is the best practices. But you're going to have to get together with your team, and you're going to have to revisit everything. You have to remember that behavior and sentiment has changed. And how people feel today is not how they're going to feel tomorrow. It's going to be a moving target. So sales is hard enough already. It's like being a target, being in market. But right now it's like moving all around like this. So good luck trying to, hit it. You're really going to have to change your attitude and your mindset first about sales before you can even start talking about strategy and tactics. So I would start with just mindset first, start internally first, and then second, mindset externally about who you're talking to, and approach it just with that. And I like what Ari said, is like, get with your customers and say, what do you need right now? And then give it to them.
You know what?
Whatever it is, give it to them. Just give it to them.
It's interesting hearing you guys talk about sales, because I actually learned sales this way when I became an entrepreneur. I don't do cold calling. It's not something I ever felt comfortable. I didn't like people cold calling me, so I didn't do that. I always learned over the years that you got to add value, and if you add value, people will come to you. So as somebody that runs HR consulting, a lot of my projects got put on hold. But interesting enough, I still had a couple of clients come through, brand new clients come through this past week saying, well, we need your help, right? And as I hear you guys talk, so isn't it now great time for companies to, any salespeople, be it if you're a sole entrepreneur or maybe you're a large organization and you have a sales team, as Matthew was saying, with quotas and stuff, isn't now the best time to reinvent your sales process and maybe think towards, well, instead of focusing on quotas and sales, maybe your sales team should be focusing maybe using social media to build content? Is that fair enough to say, in your guys' opinion? Eleanor?
Absolutely. Matt,
sorry. Anybody?
Sorry, I thought we were just going in order.
Yeah, sure. Ari.
Matt, going back to your point, it's fantastic how companies, the way that people are selling right now compared to before. You're absolutely right that it's the way that people are supposed to be selling, and what COVID has done is really separated the cream from the crop. The type of sales reps that have been trying to hard sell people and not been leading with empathy, they are failing absolutely miserably right now. And similar with the leaders. When it comes to the leaders, those who love to micromanage people, those who required FaceTime, required people to show up every single day and didn't care about anything else, are struggling hard right now. An Israeli VP of sales, David Zeff, he did a small survey on his LinkedIn, which, going to your point, Gurpreet, on social selling, he asked leaders, how many of you have altered your quotas post COVID-19? And surprisingly, the vast majority of them have said, we haven't done anything to it. And what type of message is that sending your team when you are saying, nope, we're having the exact same expectations of you that we had yesterday? And to build upon that, I recently made a post on strategies on working from home. And one of the things that came out from it was to ask your team candidly and talk to them if there is a deadline 3, 4, 5 months in advance, saying we really need to sell this much as a baseline if we're going to stay in business and can afford payroll. And that's ultimately what it comes down to. Going to the point you have, Gurpreet, on social media, everyone's at home. Everyone's on their computers.
Oh my God.
LinkedIn activity has been higher than any other time ever. So 100% now is the time to build your brand, get on there, talk to people. People have said, but what am I going to say? What are people going to think of me? And I said, hey, you know what? You tell these people that I don't know who they think they are, but the first time that they're going to post, like, no one's going to look at what they're posting. It's okay if you make mistakes. It's okay if If people don't read your material, you'll get better at it. But now is the time to build it.
Okay. Elena?
Yeah, I mean, there's this great expression from the military, which is that in peace times, you need a couple of good managers, but in the fog of war, you actually need leadership, strong leadership at every level. And I mean, I think that's the theme that we're talking about really here, which is this is the time, for entrepreneurs and business leaders to be really practicing excellence in leadership and in servant leadership, both to their teams, to Matthew's point, and to your audience, to Ari's point. We are definitely seeing, sustained increase in time that people are spending online. What we know from recession research coming out of, 3 different recessions, there was research published in the Harvard Business Review that took a look at over 4,500 companies over 3 recessions. And what they found was that coming out of recessions, because right now it's about how do we as business leaders weather the storm in the short term, and so definitely, if you don't have a 90-day plan in place, if you haven't taken a look at cash, at credit, at essential and non-essential expenses, those things are obviously really important to do and can give you guidelines about what you need to produce in terms of capital. And of course, there's multiple ways to produce capital as an entrepreneur, which we're talking about generating it through sales here. But there are multiple ways to do that. So having a strong 90-day plan in place is really important. But it's also right now, I think, for business leaders and entrepreneurs and business owners, you want to be looking in the short term and be very present, to your prospects, to the marketplace. But you also really, a lot of what you do over the course of the next 90 days can really help set you up for success when we are through this, both through COVID, but also through the resulting downturn that we are seeing, globally. And what we know from the research is that companies who are able to weather storms like this, who have been able to really come out of recessions thriving, and only about 1 in 10 are able to do that, play a combination of defense and offense. So they're practicing operational efficiency to the degree that they can. They are really there for the team, their core team that they have, but they are continuing to invest in marketing, continuing to be present to their customers, continuing to show up from a place of service, provide a huge amount of value. And the companies that are doing that have been shown to recover 8 to 9 times faster than their competitors. And so these are all things that we want to be thinking about, especially when we're thinking about the relationship between the marketing that you're doing and how that relates and how that feeds into the sales process of your business.
Matthew?
Yeah, some really good stuff, really good points in there from Eleanor and Ari that's in there. I think, so even though I think it's important first, like I talked about before, about pausing and reflecting internally, I also want to be really clear that this is not a time to take your time either. Like, this is legit. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard of the concept before of like peacetime CEO versus wartime CEO. There's a great book. I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now. I'm trying to remember what it is. I'll post it in the comments afterwards if I can remember it. But he talks a lot about that concept of wartime CEO and peacetime CEO. And we're definitely at war. It's an invisible war with this health crisis and an economic one. Like, I don't want to pretend about what's not going on. Like, legit companies are going to be insolvent. They're going to go out of business. Like, it's going to happen. So you have to act fast. Now, the challenge is, though, it goes back to this mindset and universal laws. So a lot of companies, if you can sell right now and you can help people, then it's your duty. It's irresponsible for you not to help other people. Okay. And I don't mean it's your responsibility to close sales so that you can stay in business. That's not right. What I'm saying is, if you can truly, ultimately help that business survive and weather this storm, and you don't help them do that, then you are failing all of us. It's 100% your responsibility to do that. So, and if you can't, and that's not a part of it, then don't sell it. Now, if you have that mindset and that understanding, as a leader, some of the leaders need to start explaining to their sales teams about how to actually create sales. So the biggest problem that people have in general in sales is when they think they have a sales problem, right, or a closing problem, they usually have a lead gen problem. When they think they have a lead gen problem, they really have a positioning or mindset problem, okay? And most of our businesses, we never have business problems. We have mindset problems that show up in our business. And so we have to figure out what is the problem that's first. I find most of the time, it always comes back to these universal laws and mindset problems that people have. So this is a great opportunity, like was discussed earlier, that if you're going to pause, let's quickly is the key word, reinvent yourself. And so what does that mean? You know, what is quickly reinventing yourself sales-wise? Well, I think quickly reinventing yourself sales-wise is, again, getting rid of your quotas and your sales boards. 2, thinking about how do you lead with a bigger offer that pleases everybody, which is really the right offer to do at all times, which is leading with empathy and, in my opinion, with community. Okay. And the reason why you lead with community is because birds of a feather flock together. So it doesn't matter what vertical you sell to. Ideally, it's a niche. And if it's not a niche, get a niche. That's a fundamental problem in your business. You haven't picked a niche. Even if you sell everything broadwise, at least give each sales rep their own niche so that they can develop their own insider language and really get to know that vertical really well, that they can communicate with them in a really well way. And they can get some leverage by pulling that community, that vertical together. Why do you want to pull them together? Because birds of a feather want to flock together. It's really a simple offer. And it's something you can lead with that allows you to target the whole market versus just those that are in market. Because people don't like to be sold to at the best of times, and you never know where it is when you're doing sales. A lot of times it's a moving target, right? But you add that to this crisis, how are you supposed to know where that is? You almost set your salespeople up for failure. Like you literally send them out and go, find me people who are ready to buy right now in this crisis. It's like, really? Like, really? Like, honestly, like you were expecting them to come back with food on the table for you with that mindset? Well, why don't you set them up for success and go, you know what? Let's be more helpful. Let's build more goodwill. I'm going to send you out there in a vertical, and we're going to invite them back to join a community where we can create more leverage and give them more at a one-to-many level so that we can start leveraging these small hinges that swing big doors type strategies, right? Where we can build more rapport and help them more at a one-to-many level so we can set you up for success. This way you can invite the whole market versus just those that are in market. Like help the whole market. And what will happen when you do that, like when you shake let's say you're like looking for gold, and you're shifting the sand, you shake that thing, like you're shaking it. Well, what is happening is that 1 to 3% just like raise their hand anyways. And then all the ones that were not ready in market right now, it doesn't matter. What you did was you positioned yourself for the future of when they are ready to buy. And if and when they survive, they're going to buy from you. Or even the way you act today in the future, your brand is always going to be seen as one in a positive light versus a negative light. Because trust me, what you do today in this crisis, the way you act will affect you for months, if not years in the future. So it's really, really, really important that when you reinvent yourself quickly, okay, that you get some of these key universal laws and mindsets down right. If you don't, I guarantee you're going to lead with the wrong foot and you're going to shoot yourself in the foot. And you're going to be one of the ones that probably doesn't make it. This is literally life and death. But I believe that people can do it. Like I believe if you literally said and you pretended that you had a gun to your head, which you do, a metaphorical gun, you said you have to the end of the day to solve this problem. You and your team, if you pull them together, they'll solve the problem. Like that, like this. People have never been more motivated to focus on something that's really important. That's not themselves. You've never been able to get focused like this ever before, like laser focus. Bring your team in. Don't feel like you have to solve the problem. And everybody collectively solve that problem in 24 hours. And you can get it done. It works. I've seen it. Those organizations that are doing it right now, it's working. Most are not, but those that are going to win.
all three of you had said pretty much there was a common theme, empathy, right? Uh, so I have a question back to all you guys. Like, I know what empathy looks like in HR aspect, but what does empathy look in sales? So when you keep saying empathy, can each of you guys give a little bit of an example of what empathy looks like in sales? Because I think many people may not even know what that is in sales. I know what it is in HR, but how would you translate empathy in sales?
Really, really great question, Gurpreet. And I think part of what empathy in sales is talking and asking questions without the sale in mind. So today, reaching out to your top 5 to 10 clients and prospects and just saying, "Hey, how are you doing? How are you doing?" Nothing to do with sales, nothing to do with my product, nothing to do with your product. You as a person, how are you handling this? How's your department? How's your team? Has anybody gotten sick? And coming from a place of this isn't Ari the robot typing in a 7-step cadence and sending it out to you. This is Ari the person from Toronto asking you what's going on right now, what's happening, and not having an agenda and just shutting up and listening. And going back to Matt's point, if there's something that you can do to help them, by God, help them. If there's a white paper that you could send them that could help them out, send it. If you can hop on a call and talk with people and discuss things that can change the way they do things, do it. Eleanor, going back to your point about 90-day a 90-day plan, if and Matt, for you as well, if you're looking to sell something today, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But the people that you're going to help today, the people that you extend that olive branch to, they're going to remember you in 3 months. And they're going to help you back. And it's this never-ending circle of collaboration and help.
Is it you know, I know I'm gonna get to Eleanor in a second too. Wouldn't it make sense instead of looking for new customers, maybe focus on the customers you already have and the past customers and go back to them right now and say, how can we help you?
For sure, that's a fantastic approach to take. Not only trying to expand share of wallet within your existing client base, if there's other things and services that they need, but in addition to that, referral revenue tends to have a significantly higher close rate than any type of revenue that you can possibly get. And so, if you have done your job properly and genuinely helped someone solve something, and they know someone else that is struggling, which right now a lot of people are talking and they do, they're significantly more likely to refer you over to somebody else than to just say, no, I'm good.
Okay. Eleanor, so what examples can you give for empathy and sales?
Yeah. So, I second everything that Ari said, and rather than repeating it, I think it's, I'll add something to it, which is, so, empathy is really the ability to listen, to connect, and to find something within yourself that relates to what the person you're empathizing with is sharing with you. And then from a sales perspective, it's all about what do you do with that information next? And so so I'll give you an example. We made a commitment to our customers. So we serve women entrepreneurs and small business owners. And one of the things that we realized as soon as as soon as the COVID crisis hit, was what people needed more than anything was comfort, connection, and very practical tips and strategies that were going to help them right now. That was very, very important. So they needed essentially an antidote to news and an antidote to some of the fear mongering that was happening on social media. We're all spending a ton of time online. So this is what they were telling us. And it was what they were saying directly, and it was also what they were saying indirectly. So you can practice empathy by taking a look at where are you in conversation with your customers and clients, both directly. What kinds of comments, what are they talking about on their social channels? What kinds of comments are they leaving? Because that gives you a sense into what they are experiencing right now and what they need. So it's both what they're saying directly to you, potentially during a conversation, but also what they're saying indirectly to you. So that's what we judge. Look, our customer base right now, it's really, really important. What they need is a beacon of hope and optimism and practicality. And they need some constancy and consistency. And so what we did was said, look, we're going to meet them where they're at. We have been empathetic, we've listened, and now we're going to take that information and, to Matt's point, respond quickly. you know? And so it was all about really changing our pre-existing communication and marketing plan, changing the things that we were going to be talking about that we'd planned, ripped those up because to do so would be totally tone deaf and not, empathetic, and then beginning to create powerful material that was useful to them right now. That's really that's huge. And then from there, taking a look at what are they saying to us. What is useful, what is not useful, what of the information that we are putting out there are our customers, prospects, audience responding to in terms of this was really useful, and what is just kind of what is less so. And then, to Matt's point, beginning to pivot, we are sensing, what we are seeing is there's a real immediate need right here. And we're going to, both create free information that's going to bring the community and help them. And then there's a lot of interest in taking it further. So we're going to have this offer in place for people who want to do it. That is, empathy is huge. You have to get the information, but then it's from a sales perspective, what do you do with it? And how do you use that and to pivot quickly? And I think that's, and as a CEO, as a founder, that takes courage. It means that you need to take the plan that you did have, take a look and be like, do I want to continue with these core offers? Do I want to continue selling the thing I thought I was going to sell? Or are we going to make some shifts to meet our marketplace where they're at right now? And I don't think there's any right answer there. There's only the thing that you do, but most importantly, there's how you're doing it, So yeah, to me, that's empathy.
You said something interesting about comments. So you should be paying attention to your potential customer or your current customer or your past customer. Go through the social media, look at what they're posting, read the comments. Now, do you suggest commenting on their post or reaching out to them directly? Which approach would be good in this scenario?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, from my perspective, I think you can, and it depends on the resources that you have in your team. From my perspective, what I use it is I look and sometimes I comment back. Sometimes it's, reaching out via direct message. Certainly, people on our team are doing that and connecting with them that way. For me, it's really about taking that in, it's the whole thing of pausing, stepping back, taking in what is going on with our marketplace right now. What is the mental state? Where are our customers and clients at? Taking in that information, stepping back, letting it be in the pot for a little bit to start to inform how we respond, how we respond to them. So I think, you can add from a tactical, yes, for sure, respond back, talk to, connect, engage. But for us, it was really about taking that information, putting it into the pot, and through the creative process, that's what we're doing as business owners. We're creating resources, both free and paid, that meet them where they're at right now.
Okay, thank you. Matthew, so what does empathy look like in sales for you?
I think Ari and Eleanor nailed it really well. I think the mindset is just like Ari said. If you're going to call, the agenda really should be not to sell something, to truly listen. We have 2 ears, 1 mouth. Let's use them accordingly, right? and really truly be there to listen. That is probably leading with empathy at the end of the day, which I think is important. Sometimes that's all that people need, is just a pair of ears to make it through this. And I think, with Eleanor saying there's other ways to even lead with empathy and to figure out what people want by listening, whether it's socially listening is good as well. I think there's a third thing that you can do right now that is really important as well too, is after you've led with empathy and you've done some listening and you've kind of figured out what your marketplace might need, I think what most people want right now is they want done. They want done. So if you want to be helpful, they either want done, or the other medicine that everybody needs right now is to make them smile. So think delight. I would say you want to think done or delight. Am I delivering done or delight? If I did that, I probably am doing the right thing. And so what does that mean? What that means is this, is if you are giving them a white paper or anything that's like homework, right? Don't go to them with, here's some things you could do and that I have to think about. No. Figure out what the problem is that they need to have solved and then deliver it as in done. Like there's nothing to implement. I mean, like one click, boom, finished, complete. There you go. Your life is better, period. Going forward, there's one less thing for you to think about and that you have to do. Now, if you can't deliver that, in addition to delivering that or otherwise, is delight. And so what do I mean by delight? Delight means, look, people are stressed right now. And if you can send a lumpy mail or send something that just makes them smile, that builds you a whole bunch of trust equity. And what most salespeople don't understand, and most sales organizations don't understand, is they don't obey the universal law, which we all talk about and know, but they don't obey it, which is we only buy from people that we know, we like, and that we trust. Okay. And everyone tries to start selling before they have that. And there should be zero selling, absolutely zero selling. You never sell anything ever until you know you have the trust equity. And so you have to figure out ways how do you build trust? Well, you do it just like Ari said. You lead with actually like listening without trying to sell something. You can't sell anything until you actually have trust. So just stop selling, period. And no matter where you are. How else do you listen? You do what Eleanor said. You listen. You listen online and offline, and you get a pulse of what's important. Then how do you earn that trust? You earn that trust by building goodwill, which is by delighting and doing done. You do those two things, now you can sell. Now they will buy almost anything from you, even if you're the shittiest salesperson in the world. You could suck at sales and you'll still close deals, okay? Because you have trust, because we only buy from people with trust. It's not about money. It's not about who's better. It's about, do I trust you? This is why referrals and references work. The point is that no one obeys that law. So if you just obey the universal law first to earn trust and do those few simple things, you will make the sales. You need to have faith and know that you'll make sales. You'll also lead in the right way, and you'll probably weather this storm. So I'd figure out done, delight, listen, and empathy. If you do that, your life is gold.
You said something interesting, done, and then you said click one solution. So just something that's sticking out to me, wouldn't this be a good opportunity for companies to maybe look at digitalizing their products or services?
Yep.
So where like you can put something together, you've been listening, what everybody said, like empathy, listen, look at what the problem is, come up with the solution. And then Matthew, you said click done and deliver it. So would this be the best time for any company right now to kind of go digital? Is that fair to say?
Yeah. I'll add to that. So I'll give you some examples. Like the future is this. There's going to be less customization. People are not going to care about customization right now. They just want less problems. If you've ever been a boss or a manager or CEO, you already know this. Like you can't stand it when team members come forward and go, I have this problem, right? It's like, okay, great. How about like come forward with, here's this problem. and here are some ideas on how we could fix it. Can we fix it? That's one level where you're like, that employee is like, awesome, we're moving them from like employee to manager, right? But then the next level of going to C-suite is different. It's like, hey, I spotted this problem, I battle tested some of the solutions, and I just want to let you know it's fixed and it's done. That's the person who gets to go to C-suite. You're like, oh, you fixed it. Like, yeah, I just want to let you know it's done. Like, here was the problems and all things we did for it. I just want to let you know, don't worry about it. It's done. Awesome.
To your
you
point,
got to think like that.
Like that's an example of empathy, right?
Yeah.
So people aren't necessarily saying, I don't want more problems. I want my life to be easy. You have to listen underneath what they're saying, which is, I don't want problems. Things are really complicated. If you can just handle this, because I'm handling wiping down all surfaces in my house with Javex and water 3 times per day, I just want something easy. That's empathy, right? And I think one of the themes that's coming through so much is like, it's fundamentals, right? Like the fundamentals. When a team gets tired, it's your fundamentals, right, that you start to lean on and that you start to use. And nothing that we've said here is strictly for wartime. These are fundamentals, but your fundamentals become more important, during challenges, when your team and you and society as a whole is tired, is stressed, is fearful. This is when the fundamentals of excellence, in terms of selling and marketing come into play. But that's empathy in action, understand what they really want and where they are at mentally and the kind of solution, even though it takes a very aware person to say, I just want this done. That's empathy, right? Understanding what they actually really want, which they might not tell you, is I want done. But we've seen that too, for sure, even in terms of how we are positioning things, really focusing and how we're designing things to make sure there. Yeah, that's an excellent.
All of you guys put some great points, and I think from what I'm hearing, I think the best summary would be, you know, you. I was having this discussion the other day with suffering. Everybody has problems. Everybody has a lot of pressure. So, like I learned about selling was pain points, right? The selling is figure out their pain points, provide a solution. But we already know right now, I'm not saying, 100% people's pain point, but generally speaking, there's problems all around us right now. So add to Matthew's point and all you guys, Eleanor and Ari, you know, listen, look for what they're struggling with, and then deliver a solution instead of selling. And indirectly, you're not selling, but you're solving their problems. You're taking their headaches away because we are dealing with. It's not a normal time what we're dealing with, but there's just so much things can be done. And I would say, like I've been saying this to individually people I have a conversation with. Like right now, you can look either you can lead and look for solutions to help other people. It can be anybody. Like as all you guys saying, empathy and look to help people because connections, community, we all are looking for that because we are all sitting at home right now. And we need those human connections. Now, to add on to that, how do you sell remotely? You know, a lot of people might be used to selling face to face. Now we can't do that, right? Like you can't go to the company and say, I have a solution for you. You probably can't get a meeting with them. Some companies might be burning a lot of fires right now and they're too busy. So how do you now take your sale process from empathy and everything you guys said, but how do you do it remotely without that human? Can't see the person. Some people may be struggling with that aspect right now. Any tips you guys have on that, or any of your personal experience right now where you've transitioned to doing things remotely? I'll start with Ari.
So I think for the most part in the sales profession, usually the progression is starting with inside sales and then moving to more of an outside sales role, something that's a little bit more senior because you have a little bit more rope that you're given. But in general, for anyone, one of the great things that I found that works really well to express empathy and to show that to your customers is by sending video messages and video emails to people. If you're sending an email to someone with a video saying, "Hey, Eleanor, this is Ari from Foundation Sales Consulting, and I saw your post on LinkedIn, and I saw that you were having, A, B, and C problems right now. I think I can give you done and happy right now. I'd love to jump on a call with you, show you some of the ways that I've done that for some of my other clients at the very least. In this type of a situation that we're in, any way that I can help, more than happy. If not, have a great day." Eleanor is so much more likely to email me back and be like, wow, that's incredible. Building upon that, the best way to build this trust, get people's walls down, is injecting a little bit of humor into your conversations. Everyone right now is talking about all of this negativity, COVID-19, people getting sick. You know what? Make a joke. Make them laugh. Give them something to take their mind off of what's going on right now. And they'll be so much happier to engage with you in a conversation, a sales cycle, or otherwise.
Great. Yeah, make them laugh. I want to laugh too. Sometimes I have anxiety, but sometimes naturally, because of anxiety, sometimes I have that I just start laughing for no reason because it's the only way I can deal with it. So that's actually a great point. I think a lot of us can use some laughter right now because everything is so stressful. Things are changing by the minute. Sometimes I feel like even here in Ontario, different things are happening all the time, and I agree. I think making someone laugh might be right now might be what is the best way to maybe get connected with somebody. Great, thank you, Eleanor. So, how would you what's your experience been like, or what tips you have for transitioning into remote selling?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so, I think it's really, I will say live stream is very, very tactical, but really leveraging live stream when we think about, so what I teach and recommend is that you want to, and this has come up in conversation before, how can you bring communities of people together right now in a leveraged way and provide something that is very useful. So you've used your empathy skills, you've been listening, and you've identified, look, something that would be incredibly valuable to my marketplace right now is, a conversation or some information that they can use immediately around XYZ topic. And so you create something, and that could be you can bring people together, on a webinar. You can create a resource that helps solve that again, to the point that we've been talking about, it isn't something that is going to take them 6 months to implement. It's something that they can use immediately. It is practical, it is relevant, it is timely, it is swift. So bringing people together around something like that, and then from there, that gives you an opportunity to potentially invite them into a conversation. It allows you to say, look, of these 10,000 people who have come together for this particular training, who among you wants to do XYZ? Have a conversation. Those are the people who shake out, who may be ready to purchase right now. And so then you can move it into potentially a conversation or just further down the sales cycle. But I think that, it's about creating community and creating reasons that serve your customers and clients where they are at right now. Using webinars, Zoom, all of that is a really effective way to do that. And again, I think that's really where marketing and sales begin to sort of merge together.
Yeah.
It's where your marketing is starting to really feed into the overall sales.
Yeah, I've seen an increase in lives, webinars,
Yeah.
even like Zoom is being used so much now
Mhm.
than ever before. So those are some great points. Matthew, what's your take on, or what tips and advice do you have for individuals transitioning from the in-person meetings for sales to now doing it remotely?
Sure. So if you're used to selling in person, then the next best thing is obviously video in some way, right? It's close. It's not as good as being in person, but it's pretty much the next best thing. Uh, so I've had several marketing agencies. We just made it a fundamental rule years ago that we would always use Zoom for all communication unless a client was opposed to it. Now, what I always tell people is communicate with your clients and prospects in the medium that they choose to communicate in. But of course, there's all kinds of different tactics that you can use to hack this. So there's a great, I'll give you some very specific examples. There's a great app called Quick App. It's called Quick App, and it allows you to make quick little videos with your iPhone here. Look, it's you guys. Ta-da! But you can make quick little videos on your phone, and then you create these personalized pages, and then you can email them to your clients, and they can watch the video, and they can chat with you in real time right there. It's perfect for like continuing auto sales, or maybe you need to do like a virtual tour for real estate where you can't sell the way you used to do. And then, of course, there's like tactics like Ari talked about, which is like using things like Loom Video is one that's pretty free where you can make a quick screen capture video and post it there. Even YouTube is free right now. You can use even sometimes just leaving a voicemail makes you stand out a bit on LinkedIn. I do want to keep you in mind, though, that you have to know where you are in the sales cycle before you use some of these video products. So sometimes people hear this again comes back to they're leading with tactics and not leading with mindset, then strategy, then tactics, right? Like they're not getting the order right. There is an order to these things, but like a mistake that I see sometimes people do is they'll reach out cold with like a selfie video of yourself, like, hey, I just reaching out, and it's always like a little bit awkward and weird because you are a stranger, and when you're a stranger, it usually means danger, right? And so we want to go slow, go with a softer thing. You don't start SMSing, text messaging people you don't know. Like, don't do that, right? If you have a relationship with them, yes, text messaging your clients is okay. But you have to know where you are in this. Are you in the friend zone or are you in the stranger zone? So when we use these tactics, like even though you hear this and because I hear this all the time, they're like, yeah, use video. And then you start sending out these weird freaking videos, and all you do is like, okay, creepy dude, you totally weirded me out and took up my time, instead of like, it could have just been a quick email, which is very, very safe, right? The best place is always like, if you're cold prospecting, build a strategic list, cold message that message with a very succinct, clear, cold email. Usually the offer should be to a community, not to sell your shit yet because they don't know you, and then go from there, right? So you be very careful with the tactics, but yes, you can go from being physical to virtual with just video and some of these tools that are there. Yeah.
And you know what? I'm laughing because the creepy thing you said, like, don't know where you are, don't automatically start sending texts. And I'm like that. I don't like random people sending me texts. Like, I don't know you. Why?
Yeah, it's private. That's my text number. Exactly.
Yeah, I like that. That's why I'm laughing. It's like, me. I don't like it. Like, I don't know you. I don't mind if someone I've talked to, say like today I talked to three of you guys. If tomorrow you send me a text message on my phone, I wouldn't mind. I already had a conversation with you.
That's right.
So that's why I'm laughing, because that is so me. And then the video thing, back to both of you guys mentioned the videos. I agree, like sending that video, because I know a couple of people sent it to me a couple of years ago, and this one guy was really good at it, and I loved it. It was so personable. It's such a short, quick video. And back to Matthew, like, I think the whole video, I think people should keep it short, because no one's got time to watch a video that's say 10, 20 minutes long, right? So the message, I think, should be like bite-sized. I had two more questions, but I'm just going to ask you guys one question. I had another question, but we don't have time. Because Matthew brought up some great tools, how about we just do a quick round where you guys give maybe top 2 or 3 of your favorite tools to use? All right.
My top tool that I would say to use would definitely be LinkedIn right now as a way to build your own brand. Going back to Matthew's point, anything with regards to outreach or putting yourself first is going to have less of an effect. But at the same time, LinkedIn is really great for getting your message out in a very soft way. And then having a company like SalesLoft, where you can build out great messaging to give to people in a customized way.
Okay, great, thank you. Eleanor?
You know, I am. There's so many, but the tools that, you know, I would say that this tool, StreamYard, is probably one of the tools that we started using it, you know, a couple of months ago, but I've been using it regularly. It's a powerful tool that really allows, again, live stream. And why is live stream important? And I'm really focusing on more of the marketing side here right now. But live stream is very useful because if you are on LinkedIn, we're on LinkedIn. You know, many of the people who I would be typically serving and supporting are on LinkedIn. And right now, LinkedIn is one of the best platforms out there in terms of really promoting organic, you know, organic reach. And so, and they're also, if you have the ability to do, say, a LinkedIn Live, which people should be, if you're interested, I think you need to apply for it still. But it's a
Yes,
really
yes.
great, you have a tool like webinar that allows you to get on live with, you know, with your connections to provide some really great value. And it's more of a marketing play than a sales play. But I think, you know, again, FaceTime, showing up from a place of service, meeting your audience where they're at is more important than ever right now. And we are using StreamYard. So it's one of my favorite tools right now, from a marketing and sales perspective.
Perfect. Matthew?
Sure. Okay, I'll give you. Okay, I'm going to give you a bunch of very specific tools and even like maybe the order to use them in and quickly how to use them real fast. But before I do that, I want to preface something that I hear all the time in the marketplace. It drives me crazy. And that's where we call a marketing department and a sales department. They're the same fucking department, okay? Stop making them two different departments. I don't even want to call them that anymore. It makes me crazy. It's the same thing. We're doing sales right now. We're also doing marketing. It's the same thing, okay? Just the difference is this. Sales is one-on-one, okay? Marketing is one-to-many. That's it. That's all. That's the only difference. Okay. But it's the same thing. Both their goals are to do the same thing, which is to create transformation for your clients and customers. That's it. That's your goal. Create transformation for them. Make their life better. If they're here, bring them here. I don't care how you do it, if it's a one-to-many level or whether you do it at a one-to-one level. It's the same thing. One department, no more two different departments, because we end up fighting, right? Like then it's like, oh, I sent you marketing qualified leads. You're like, oh, your marketing qualified leads suck. I need sales like all this bullshit, right? Stop it. Same department, one department. Marketing and sales is the same. And I think that, you know, salespeople should do marketing stuff and marketing people should do sales stuff. Like let's not make them any different. That being said, I think that, you know, the fastest way to more sales in general is always working with your existing clients. Start there. All right. Because you already have a relationship with them. And if you can give them more value, then give them more value. That's the fastest. Step two is if you are not leading with a community, then you need to use cold outreach to drive to a community so that your marketing and sales team can do more trust building from a one-to-many level. So this is where the webinars come in, or the lives, and all of that kind of, whether any kind of one-to-many broadcasting comes involved. So you can use the one-to-one to drive them to your community and then leverage the community to sell to them from a one-to-many level. That way you get some leverage in your life. The most important thing to actually invest in, though, is instead of all these tactics and tools, is invest in people who are creative, and two, exhibit extreme EQ or soft skills, okay? I'd rather pay one SDR who's a freaking rock star, who's part creative and part like psychologically, you know, like a rock star, like a ninja. Like they really just understand people and have those soft skills, and pay them $120,000 than have 6 SDRs out there just cold prospecting people with shitty messages. It doesn't make any sense. You can leverage those 6 people with automation if you have one smart person. So you can use tools like Limlist to make it personalized, like it's one-on-one, or Mailshake, right? Or Zapier or Phantom Buster. You can scrape lists from Sales Navigator really easily using Seamless.ai, using Hunter.io. Building lists and creating this stuff is not hard. Automating it and scaling it is not hard. What is hard is the soft skills, the strategy, right? And then leading them into the right thing. So what I recommend is first start with your existing customers, add more value, easiest win. Second, go cold, build a strategic list, invite them to a community. Then from the community, sell from them softly at a one-to-many level. Let those that are ready to buy shake out and help those. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. That's it. And this doesn't just work now. It works in a crisis, before a crisis, and after a crisis.
Perfect. Thank you. And so I just want to add one thing. Matthew, you said this before. I watched one of your lives, and a couple other people have said this. Collaboration.
JVs.
Right?
It's all about JVs. Easiest way to win is do joint venture partnerships.
We collaborated today, and LinkedIn Live. Going back to Eleanor, you do have to apply for it. So not everyone has it. Why not collaborate with somebody that does have it? Like I put it out there. I have it. If anybody wants to use my LinkedIn Live, message me. No problem. So I think collaboration is one thing I think everyone can be doing right now during this whole situation.
Yeah. JVs are not for musicians and just rappers. It's for everybody.
Yeah. I want to thank you guys. I know we went a little bit over, but thank you so much for hopping on, having this open discussion that many of us are already thinking about and probably don't even know what to do, how to do it. Some probably have figured it out. Your followers probably already figured out. They've been watching your streams, which I've been watching some of your guys' stuff, and I've been learning too how to pivot right now too. So thank you so much for coming on, sharing your advice, sharing your tips. So greatly appreciated, even taking your Sunday 1 hour to come and talk to a bunch of us about how to sell right now. Thank you so much.
It was my absolute pleasure to collaborate with some great people like Eleanor and Matthew. Just my absolute pleasure. Thank you, Gurpreet, for putting this together.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you
You're welcome.
much.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.